Hey everyone, this is Ben from Cheddar Flow, and last week was pretty crazy. We had a lot of green on the S&P 500. Literally every single day of last week was green. So there's going to be some plays that maybe have potential pullbacks or are just evening out this week. I don't expect it to be continuously green again. Again, we don't know. Last week was pretty crazy to begin with, so you never know with the market. But I would assume things would cool off this following week, whether that be just sideways or actually fall down. So I do have some potential setups here as well that I'm going to share with you today. So all we ask in return is you subscribe to the channel and we'll get started right away. So the first ticker I want to talk about today is Apple. And if you do follow our Cheddar Flow Twitter account, you did see our mini clip on a very large, almost $2 billion dark pool print that occurred after the third day up. It was March 17th. And this print occurred at the high of day. And some people were thinking that maybe a sell because it was at the high of day, but 6 days later, we've been green every single day since. So this one was the start of a very large move afterwards, and most certainly was a key level that could have been traded off of because it did retest the following day. And this level could have been traded off of and taken a long position and just continuously went up after. So this level was very significant for sure, and it promoted a very big rally. And this rally, by the way, 9 days green for Apple is just incredible. Definitely something you don't see very often for sure. And just looking at the order flow, honestly, there was nothing really crazy about last week. A lot of these positions were most likely closing. And also you'll see there were a lot of leaps as well on Apple. So because I filtered this for over $100,000 orders, it'll show less of them. And actually, if you scroll down a little bit further here, you'll see some of those leaps start to hit the tape. We have, and leaps, by the way, are the longer term contracts that people are buying, mostly over a year. I would consider a leap anything over a year, 2 years, 3 years for a contract. So this right here, you could see the 2023 hit the tape. You saw another 2023 over here, and just consistently there were a lot of these 2023s, and we also had 2024s as well on there. So a lot more of leaps were actually hitting the tape this past week instead of the traditional, like maybe month out, 2 month out, 3 month out orders. So that's something that I did notice that was certainly interesting. And the most interesting portion was the fact that Apple was very, very active in the dark pool yet again on the last 3 days of last week. And typically when Apple gets really active in a dark pool, a very large move will happen afterwards. And we've already had a large move up. Again, it could keep going up. You never know. But it's something to be cautious about because of how active the dark pools have been. You can see a lot of over 100 million in premium dark pool prints, which are pretty significant when you add them up over time. And again, anything over 500 million is going to be very significant. Anything over a billion is insane. And that's why that 2 billion one was incredible here. But yeah, keep looking at these dark pool prints this next week. We'll see if there is a move off of them. And yeah, just check those for this next week. So the next ticker I want to look over is the VIX, VIX. Remember, this is the volatility index for the S&P 500. And characteristically on Cheddar Flow, when we've been seeing a lot of calls hitting the tape on VIX just out of nowhere, kind of like we saw on Friday, it actually is a precursor to some sort of a pullback on the S&P 500. And I've actually been tracking this for over a year now. Again, there's a lot of small details that are included in this. It's not just, oh, hey, look, there's 5 calls that were bought that were super far out of the money, or 5 different prints that hit the tape one day and there was none before on VIX, so therefore there has to be a pullback. I'm looking for like tons and tons of prints just randomly hitting the tape with some very large ones like you can see right here. Typically on the VIX, you're not able to scroll down this much on unusual options flow for it. So the fact that I can scroll down that far certainly is something that is of interest to me. And also another thing that's of interest to me is these huge prints that we were seeing here. This person got 44,500 contracts of VIX for that 30 strike. And then another person over here, probably the same one, had the 40,500 as well for that 30. Both the same expiration, end of April, and they got cumulatively, they had 13 million worth of premium going into that. So these are really insane. It's rare to see this large of an order. Remember, VIX could be a hedge for the market just because it has been going up so far. So it's been going up really, really high so far. But in terms of a charting standpoint, we broke through originally this first support and then consolidated around this one and then broke down from that. Now it's kind of in free falling zone, but there is a potential for support over here because this was a previous demand zone. And I'll draw a line for you right here. This was a previous demand zone for it, so around here, and that is where we're going right now. Potential bounce off of that. Do I think anything crazy is going to happen? We'll have to see for sure. Potential retest maybe of this line, but as of now, way too early to see if it's actually going to spike up again like it did the past 3 times. So nothing that we know right now. It needs to get past both of these lines right here in order to tell us if there's more substantial upside. But this person here took a much larger bet. They got 50 strike. That is quite a while away from where we are right now. 50 would be all the way up here. So if that happened, market would sell off pretty crazy. We'll have to see. But again, these are the ones that are more interesting to me because there is a very good possibility that it could hit 30 for sure if it does bounce. And that would lead to a lot of market downside. And we saw another one right here for 27, the 27 strike. So a lot more calls. This is a very unusual day for VIX just because of how many calls and how many bullish prints we saw on it. So definitely be careful with this following week at the very least. You don't even have to play downside because market has been ripping up for quite a while right now. You don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the trend by any means, but do be careful if you have long positions. Maybe this is the signal to start trimming those at the very least, because you don't have to just play with that counter trend because you see all of the VIX like this. This could be a signal to you to take your profits and not be greedy. So there are many uses for order flow, and it doesn't have to be just taking a trade. It could be just trimming your trade at the end of the day because you see these warning signs. So I just wanted to share the order flow on VIX here to warn you guys there could be potential red next week. Doesn't have to happen, but when you see stuff like this, you just have to be really, really careful. And last up today is the S&P 500, so SPY. This one, again, as I've been sharing throughout this entire video, has just been cranking. It's just continuous green day after green day on it. So very bullish on it for sure. From this past week, but as always, when things bounce that hard, there tends to be a sort of balancing period where it either consolidates sideways or it does have some form of a pullback. So we do have to be careful of those happening. But some notable prints actually from this past week. We had on Friday 2 440 strikes, which is certainly possible. It could pull back to that level. I would definitely watch this level because it is a very strong support and also acted as a strong resistance on the way up. And these are shorter dated expirations. This is for the April 14th of 2022. So that is coming up in, what is that now? That's 3 weeks on it. So this is coming up for sure. So this person has a pretty small time window on this before data decay really starts to kick in on it. But this person bought it when the stock price of the S&P 500 was at 450. So it's quite a while away. It is out of the money for sure. And it's also $2.2 million worth if you add both of these up together. So something to watch for and also a level to mark because we saw some other 440s as well, like we saw right here for the April 4th. So there's something about that level, especially when you see it happen a lot or hit the tape a lot. So you definitely want to watch that. Another 440 right here. So there are people, whether it be a hedge or it's actual potential that we have a pullback to that level, they personally think this could happen. But then again, we have a lot of call flow as well, so you have to be careful with that and look for confirmation if you do want to play the downside. So nothing crazy below this throughout the week, just a lot more calls earlier in the week before that large move up. What really was crazy to me actually was on Friday we had a almost $1 billion singular print on the S&P 500. This wasn't a signature print, which is more common. You see signature prints hit over 1 billion because those are accumulation of a bunch of different prints at a certain level. This one was a singular order at the 450 spot price of the S&P 500. So this is pretty significant, and it happened almost at the end of the day. So potential seller at the end of the day there for SPY. I don't think they'd be buying up that high, but who knows? But yeah, something to look at there. And then we had another one as well, which is even crazier. We had 925 million in premium at the 451.65 level of the S&P 500. So someone was probably selling at both of these levels, and it's almost $2 billion worth on the singular side of it. So again, that's even more significant that it was a singular print. So do be careful. Again, like I said, at the start of next week, whether it be, I guess, the start or end of the following week, because we saw a lot of these potential profit takers on the dark pool and also in the order flow. And with the VIX as well, do have to be careful with those. But yeah, the risk reward, at least for the upside on the S&P 500, isn't as good right now. Could it keep going up? Yes, but it also could have a substantial pullback off of it just because we've been going up for so long. So you have to just be careful with that at the end of the day. Be smart traders, look for good setups. Don't go into the FOMO because everything's green. You want to just add on to it. You just got to be careful for sure, and then you'll be consistent over time, which consistency is key in the market. But otherwise, appreciate you guys coming out to watch today's video. And if you're not yet subscribed, please do so below, and I'll see you guys next time.